The NFL stands for not for long.
Set Sharga and Armstead. Roll out. Walker still running out. Looks to the left. Wide open. Thompson touchdown. Colin Thompson with the touchdown. There was nobody within 20 yards of
him. What a catch off the bobble. Colin Thompson scoops it up. Lofting corner the end zone. It is caught for the touchdown. The first NFL touch for Colin Thompson is a score.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Colin Thompson Show, presented by Not For Long Media and our friends at the Fudge Kitchen, shipping fudge and sweet treats across the country. FudgeKitchens.com. No better place to go to for your holiday sweet treats. Bring the Jersey Shore to your friends and family this holiday season with that classic handcrafted fudge, saltwater taffy, or all their sweet treats. FudgeKitchens.com. I got my wingman Jack Connell with me today. Lots going on at Not For Long Media. That was Sam Boner show. Geez. What else we have going on, Jack? I mean, it has been busy season with the holiday season. How was your Thanksgiving? How was your Black Friday and Cyber Monday?
My Black Friday and Cyber Monday were non-existent, but Thanksgiving was stupendous. I am still reeling on leftovers. Every dinner has pretty much I've failed you. I was doing very good at no carbs, and then my mother makes a sensational homemade mac and cheese for Thanksgiving. Nobody else is eating it except me. So
well,
now
wrong with that. Don't leave me out to be this bad guy, no carbs. You just started talking to me about your breakfast the one day. I'm like, dude, you're not, playing offensive line at Hatboro Horsham anymore. You don't need 2 bacon, egg, and cheeses to start the day. So
I didn't have 2 bacon, egg, and cheese. I had a bacon, egg, and cheese on a roll, which is it's awful. Yeah, I'm not down.
Not awful. I'm just saying, like, you talk to me about different things you want to achieve, and you're like, yeah, protein packed. I'm like, how about a couple eggs? But I digress. I'm glad. I'm happy for you. I like per usual, like a ton of bricks. Tore up Thanksgiving, and the next day I made my own like turkey salad concoction at the house, made great sandwich. So I love the leftover, Jack. Huge leftover guy. I'd love to see some pictures, some videos of the people out there that are listening to the Colin Thompson Show. What are you ripping into this holiday season? Are you a Thanksgiving guy or Christmas guy, Jack?
In terms of the food or the holiday?
Well, both.
Well, Thanksgiving is much better food. I'm not really I'll eat ham. I don't dislike ham, but I don't really love ham.
Well, so, I think Christmas is what you make of it. Like Christmas, we've changed from the ham to like we just do whatever our family does. Like our best family meal is what we make on Christmas Day.
Yeah. We kind of do that, but always there's pretty much ham there. And like I said, I'll eat it. But from a pure holiday perspective, I love Christmas. So it's Christmas all for that. But Thanksgiving has really grown on me over the years, just in terms of I've gotten to appreciate the football, like just everything about it. It's grown on me a lot more than just me being, oh, cool, 4-day weekend in November.
It's much different when you're older and you're young too. Like I'm 30, a couple of years older than you, right? And it's way different perspective. I enjoy it more. The more older you get, the more appreciative you are. The more the Thanksgiving actually has some meaning to it, other than like 4-day weekend and like there's some football on. My high school team may be playing. So no, a lot to be thankful for this holiday season. Honestly, it's been a crazy year. This is my first year like really being out of football. Obviously I was with the Vikings in training camp. It still counts that I was a part of this season, if you will, per Jack. But it's weird. It's really weird. Like on a personal note, a mental note, it's like usually we're like, I don't know. It's been interesting, and it's a blessing to have my health and not be getting ran over right now. But I do miss it every day, and I want to get back in this league. The free agent update, which I was doing a while back, I'll bring it back. There's some teams that have reached out, making sure I'm in good shape. How's he feeling? If we have a tight end go down, Collins in, right? So I saw those conversations, which was really cool and fun. Hoping to get back with the team here, either now or in the offseason. I will play next year too, no matter what. I've had a couple opportunities come up with some other things in life, but I'm playing. I'm focused on that. So ripping and roaring in the podcast world. Lots to talk about today. Listen, I don't know where to go, Jack. I don't know how to start this because I'm about to go off, and I want to just do this really articulately. All right, so we're about to enter silly season here in the world of football. you're going to be reading sources and reports, and there's going to be people getting fired and promoted, and you're going to be hearing a bunch of different things from a bunch of people that are not inside of NFL buildings. They have a friend inside a building they reach out to via text. They may have an acquaintance that they bumped into over the years at a owners meeting that they became friendly with, that they talk to, whatever, bi-monthly. But this is silly season. And what I tell everybody outside of football that are not inside the confines of a building is believe 10% of what you read. I'll say it again. Believe 10% of what you read. Even some of the best people in the media business fall into the trap of sources, messaging out of a facility, but you don't really know who's responsible for what. Right? It's like they want to be a part of, and they're guessing the final recipe after they already see the cake. The cake's in front of them, and they're taking a guess how many eggs are put into that, or how many pounds of flour are put into that, or what have you. The recipe, you don't know. The final product, we do see. Yes, wins and losses, people get hired and fired, certain tweets, but that's like 10% of it. The rest of it, the 90%, that's the real story. That's why people fall in love with Hard Knocks. That's why people fall in love with other outlets that take you deep diving into something, podcasts. So just be careful this time of year of what you're tweeting and believing and reading, because 10% of it's true outside of an NFL facility. I've played that game as a player, reading reports and actually seeing it with my own two eyes and feeling it. So just something to keep in mind as we move into after Thanksgiving here. And a lot of change is coming in the college football and NFL world. Jack, I know you love a good source and a good story, pal.
It's the only reason I ever became friends with you, joined Not For Long Media, is to just get every single bit of information about everything.
Trap games don't exist. That's a media ploy to get more people to buy in. Players don't play down to teams or up to teams. Players are focused on not getting punked. Players are focused on doing their job. Players get distracted. Coaches get distracted. You at work get distracted. Everybody gets distracted. It's life. Normal. You're going to get run over by the best player in the NFL. You may get run over by the worst player in the NFL. This is life, and this is the NFL, and this is football, period. This is the sport. So just be careful with silly season, because you're going to read into a lot of things. You're going to see highlights. You're going to see stuff out of buildings per sources, this person and that person. Just be careful drawing conclusions, because you don't know the truth. It stinks you don't. You never will, because teams are protective of certain individuals and they'll dance around it to protect those people. So just be careful with what you're reading, Jack. Just be careful. 10%, Jack. How's that rule panned out for you? You sent me these texts and I'm like, dude, I'm telling you that's not true.
Well, the one thing, it was sent at some point over the last month. It was verbatim what was said within the report. So, you would think that there would be, if there was a statement that somebody reputable put it.
There you go. One out of the 10 things you send me, there's some fact in it.
Yeah. I absolutely have sent
when
you.
When it comes to negotiations, agents, all that stuff. I think I've gotten very good at mainly from just dealing with it from NBA perspective as a fan. I feel like I've gotten good from read between the lines when it comes to transactional ones in terms of trades and free agency. Who's saying what? What's the purpose of this? Like you said, everything comes out for a reason. Like in the NBA world, Shams Charania is very close with players. So you always hear more positive things about players coming out when it's Shams tweeting it, when it's like, whatever, like James Harden is expecting a 4-year max contract from the Sixers, whereas Woj is a more of executive tie. He has his basis in the executives, and it's more like 76ers are only willing to offer James Harden a 2-year contract. Teams around the league think he's only worth whatever. And everybody's kind of playing their side of it. And I've gotten very good at reading the tea leaves on that sort of thing. And it's kind of transitioned to a football sense of just understanding, why is this? That's kind of the main thing I always ask myself is, why is this being put out there? There is a reason or a motive behind this report. You know what really grinds my gears, though, are people not watching the full landscape of the game, looking at stats. Stop referring to stats because they don't make any sense. They don't tell the story ever. Yeah, of course, somebody was great on third down and like somebody threw for 400 yards and that's why they won. But why they won was because like that left tackle stopped their Pro Bowler 50 reps in a row. But no one talks about that guy. And that's what drives me crazy. It's like we want the clickbait, we want the quarterback, we want the wideout, we want the D end, and then we're off to the next topic and off to the next game. It's like, are we going to stop and really smell the roses and actually talk about what really matters? Like these players are across the field that are making these plays consistently. Like, are we going to talk about like, oh, the Bills are ton. Josh Allen still turned the ball over. It's like, how about Sean Desai with a great call going cover 2? The trap corner fell off. He didn't see the honey hole player above it. Like, that's the conversations we should be having. That's why Dan Orlovsky is elite. That's why Tony Romo, especially early on in his media career, was great because he was like diving into that stuff. Dive into it more, people. When I'm done, we will. But, it drives me crazy. Like, stop reading stats. And I'm going to get into a stat here about the Eagles in a second, but it shows more of the team. Not like, hey, this guy, when he throws for 300 yards, they have a better. Come on. Go to the why. Why are they running the ball well? Who's their offensive line coach? Who are their tight ends? Are they use a fullback? The Eagles can't run the ball. Well, they run an RPO system. If Jalen pulls it and throws it, then the run's dead. What's the defense?
What was the one everybody was circling around about was Josh Allen. Josh Allen's 0-6 in overtime. Like the one, I mean, at least the one is the infamous Chiefs game where he didn't get a chance to even touch the football. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's plenty of those, and that's what I'm saying. It's just, I digress. We could be here all day about it. The Eagles win. I brought up the Philadelphia Eagles. Listen, I've talked about it before on the show. The thing about the Eagles that scare me, and the elite teams in the NFL that scare me, is they can win multiple ways. If you're up big, you want a pass rush to end the game, Eagles have one of the best, if not the best, defensive line. They're bringing cover 0 pressure now. Sean Desai's bringing up some blitzes more. They can end the game that way. Close game, need to run the ball out to win the game, milk the clock. They've shown they can do that. Pass game, we know who they have a wideout. I think missing Dallas Goedert has been a hole that they haven't been able to replace, but he's coming back soon. I think he's massive form. Right? Jalen Hurts with his feet, they can beat you. Offensive line play, elite, they can beat you there. Even when Lane Johnson's out and Jack Driscoll steps up and does a fantastic job, in my opinion, they can beat you with that. So that's what scares me when it comes to facing the Eagles, is they can beat you multiple ways. I think the Niners can beat you multiple ways. I think the Chiefs can beat you multiple ways if they stick to the run game. If Andy Reid can stick to the run game and the Chiefs can stick to the run game in the second half of ball games, they will put teams out because they got 3-4 guys that can run the ball there. And it's hard when you have Patrick Mahomes. I don't blame them. Like, I would be doing a lot of similar things. And I think you saw that a little bit in Buffalo yesterday. It's like, oh, Buffalo, if they can really pick up the run game too with their pass game, they can beat you multiple ways. I think Baltimore falls into that category too. A team that can beat you multiple ways now. They're throwing the ball down the field. Lamar can run. They have good running backs. So obviously great defense at Baltimore too. So Eagles on a roll. Joe Brady impact in Buffalo. They ran the ball. They ran the ball. And there was a time there where people were sweating in the fourth quarter as they were just running duo. Different formation here, run the same play. Different formation there, run the same play. We're going to mix it up and go empty. Boom, we're going to throw it out. Little rocket screen to the left. Hit 6-7 yards, stay in bounds, keep the clock rolling. Healthy dose of Murray and Cook. I mean, that's what we've been waiting on in Buffalo. And I thought, like I've said last week on the show, I thought Joe Brady would bring that. And I think that downhill presence, like that O-line was able to set their pads. When's the last time the O-line is setting their pads like that? Multiple runs on one drive, like continuously. They have good O-linemen in Buffalo. Everyone's like, oh, the O-line stinks. Like, I don't know, go player for player. They're all starters in this league. They're pretty damn good. And they got some good players on their bench too. So I like the Joe Brady version of the Buffalo Bills. And I think they are a team after a bye week, 6-6, trending upwards. Watch out for them. Watch out for them because they will figure it out. They have a great team, good front office, great coaches. And now with, that close relationship with Josh Allen and Joe Brady, I think you're going to see Joe Brady's personality come through, which run the ball, play action pass, and also see some quick hitters and different things to get Diggs the ball and Davis, for that matter, a little RPO downhill runs. Jack, what do you think of the game last night? Eagles-Bills.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, like you kind of mentioned, run game is James Cook. I feel like this was his game to really show why he was a second-round pick and why he was insanely talented. The biggest play was just even one that really didn't happen that could have really showcased was like, I think it was a wheel route. He was still on the outside, and him and Allen just barely missed time on a catch. It would have been a touchdown. I mean, James Cook, it was incredible watch. I mean, Latavius Murray, I feel like Latavius Murray has been around the league for so long, and it's truly a testament. He's severely underrated with how we talk about the shelf life of running backs. Latavius Murray has been around the league and doing pretty well for several teams for, I mean, almost 10 years, it feels like at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, that's shout out to him. I mean, especially because he stepped up. He wasn't even supposed, I don't even think he was on the roster to start. It was Naheem Hines, and now they bring him in. He's been very good for them as a backup. And I think it's really, I mean, like you said, Buffalo's a really good offensive line. Deion Dawkins and all these guys, like, they can really run the ball. I mean, I don't know if it was, I really didn't get a chance to really see how the linebackers lined up. I don't know if, because it was such late in the game, they were playing back a little bit to kind of defend the pass and giving them 3 or 4 yards of carry. But I mean, that doesn't really qualify.
No, they're lining up the same anyways. You don't really change your alignment per se, but Eagles still run that 5 down front, and the Bills can run it at a multiple personnel too. That's what scares you, right? Because like if they go out there with multiple tight ends, then the Eagles match it, right? And they go with that 5 down front with all the big boys. But if they spread you out, the Eagles can match it too because they have the guys inside in Carter and Davis.
Yeah.
That's what makes the Eagles so good.
And it was also just a great schematic decision because, first off, they were getting tight at defensive line because Milton Williams was hurt. Fletcher Cox is hurt. Jordan Davis doesn't have a great conditioning for a long amount of time. So they're just running the ball and keeping them on the field. And it's really Tui Pelotu. Jalen Carter's out there a little bit, but he was banged up. So they really weren't putting him out there much. So they were just realizing, hey, we've got an easier matchup in the middle than we ever would against the Eagles. So they just pretty much took the mismatch and just grinded into the ground.
We'll see what San Fran takes out of this tape with Buffalo. That's usually the test of what a team thinks about somebody, is what plays they take from Buffalo and run against the Eagles. I think that's something to keep an eye on this week if you guys want a little insider scoop of what they think. Because at the end of the day, right, if they're going to run duo downhill plays, which they really don't run, they're more outside zone, play action pass, these guys coming in motion, coming behind the line of scrimmage, jet sweeps, deep shots, quick little hitters, RPOs. Or are they going to run some of the stuff that Joe Brady and the Bills run this week? Something to keep an eye on the game with inside the game. Okay, I digress. Let's see. Let's move forward here. Sad news out of Carolina. Frank Reich fired. I never want to see anybody get fired. Played in Carolina for 3 years. It's a special city, great fans, great place to live, great place to raise a family, great place to play football. It's truly, truly, truly a shame. A lot of good people got let go today too. I'm not going to comment on all the different changes and what should be and all the different drama with that, but I am going to comment on this. Pen dropped. Who is Chris Tabor, the interim head coach for the Carolina Panthers? Chris Tabor and I were together back in the day, 2018 Chicago Bears training camp, Matt Nagy. He coined my football nickname Tompy, which all my former teammates and coaches call me. And Tabes is just truly the best, full of energy, full of football knowledge. This is the guy that's coached almost every position in football. He is so passionate, coaches with such joy and intensity, loves his players. He's really easy to play for. Pay attention, play hard, have fun. Like, that's Tabes. Like, I love playing for Tabes. He's straightforward. You know what you get. And it's really interesting. Special teams coaches don't get opportunities to coach in this league. Not that flashy, right? But really, they're the guys that are qualified the most to be head coaches in the NFL. Special teams, you are finding every ounce of every player of what they can bring to help the team win. You don't have a lot of players that can play on special teams. Quarterbacks don't. A couple of linemen don't. Your star wide receiver doesn't. Your star corner doesn't. All of a sudden, you're down to a handful of guys. It's not that many. So you need to find the pros and the cons quickly of each player. Certain position groups have the same pros and cons, just about linebackers versus tight ends, running back versus linebackers, or D linemen that can play. So they know the strengths and the weaknesses of the roster. They believe in fundamentals.
Yeah.
So I think at the end of the day, if you're an organization that really emphasizes special teams, you're going to have success. Look at Baltimore, Philly, Kansas City. They're teams that all have success. And I think Tabes, I hope he gets a fair shot. Who knows if he will? But Tabes is a fantastic coach, and he should be on the coaches circuit of getting interviewed because he's really, truly one of the best special teams coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, Bill Belichick was also a special teams coordinator before he was a defensive coordinator. And the other one Rich Bisaccia, he's with Green Bay now when he was with Vegas. I mean, the other one that really stands out to me, and I'm surprised he's kind of been in interviews before. I don't know if it's John Fassel, the Cowboys special teams coordinator. I mean, I think he's pretty much regarded as one of, if not the best special teams coordinator.
He was the Rams for a while. Johnny Hecker and him were unbelievable. Johnny's now in Carolina. Now, Tabes will do a nice job there. It's good stuff out of you, Jack. I like that. Belichick. Who else? Well, Harbaugh, obviously, tons of success.
There's only been 3. I mean, it's Joe Judge, Belichick, and Harbaugh. I'm pretty sure, because I was looking as you were talking, are the only special teamers who have become head coaches.
Yeah. No, it's good stuff. All right. Next thing I want to get into, Jalen Hurts and Christian McCaffrey. What do they have in common? People are probably saying, what does this even mean? But there's some unique videos, and Jack will get into them here as I'm talking. But when you play in this league and you have the opportunity to, there's certain people in certain locker rooms that really stick out to you. And the guys that stick out to me are the guys that work extremely hard, right? But that's the majority of the locker room, right? You have to have some sort of work ethic to get to this level. But the ones that work hard and are extremely gifted, they are very rare. Very, 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 very rare. Like, I bet there's a handful plus, let's say there's probably one guy per team in the NFL that is freakishly gifted, but also works extremely hard at their craft. And Jalen Hurts and Christian McCaffrey were kind of the first two that jumped off the table to me. Their mindset, the strength and conditioning, the knowledge of the game, the ability to beat you multiple ways, right? Whether it's an elite pass rusher that can stop the run, that can wreck a game defensively, that plays with tons of energy, or a guy like Jalen Hurts that can beat you with his arms, his legs, his mind. He's so cool, calm, and collective on the sideline. Like, people pay sports psychiatrists tons and tons of money to try to have that calm and that poise and like that what's next mentality of like, I'm just focused on the moment and then the next thing and the next thing. Like, that's Christian and that's Jalen. Like, their look in their eyes is different. I was up close and personal with Christian for the years, and I got to see his intensity. Jalen I have not been with, but I do know this. I watch the games. I see the tape. I see how he handled himself on the sideline. I see how well he's respected. You could see his lifting, his training, same with Christian. I mean, it's truly insane. What they're going to accomplish as players, stat-wise, yeah, they'll be really impressive. But who they are as teammates and then who they are to their team because they're so dependable, those two are the class of the NFL, in my opinion, when it comes to guys that are really gifted, but also work really, 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 really hard. And I think they're really rare. Is there anybody else to you, Jack, that comes across your mind like that?
I mean, Hurts and McCaffrey, like you said, they're pretty much the upper echelon of the elite.
You got Myles Garrett in there. I think Myles in that group.
Maybe like the Watt. I mean, it was JJ Watt. I don't really know much about.
But you look at like pictures of like JJ Watt in like in college, like it was like kind of pudgy. Aaron Donald was kind of like thick. Now he's like ripped, like I'm talking about like straight through, like Jalen Hurts, 600-pound squatter, Christian McCaffrey, like small running back, but like running power at Stanford and like trucking people. Like, they don't exist, like Mahomes, maybe. I mean, but he was like Texas Tech. Like, I don't know. It was just like,
he was kind of got an average quarterback build. Like, he's not really really like.
And Christian's smaller, I get it, but those guys are like build-up players. They really are. I mean, Derrick Henry's in that category.
I mean, right? AJ Brown, like.
Yeah. Like, who's really, it's tough. And everyone was like, this guy. It's like, well, do you know if he really works that hard? I don't know about the rest of the league. But you can tell Jalen does. He does. Like, he finds one thing he doesn't do great and fixes it, transfers and handles himself at a podium like it's unbelievable. Like, what? Like, he's like a presidential candidate. And then, like, Christian's the same way. They're just, like, different birds, man. I know I bring up Christian a lot on the show, but, like, we're friends and I've been able to be around him. So why the hell would I not, So.
Derrick Henry.
Oh, yeah, I said Derek. I mean, Roquan Smith's probably up there too. We had Nick Moore, long snapper of the Ravens. That's coming up in a couple weeks. And he was saying that, like, Roquan had an offer from Alabama to play wide receiver. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I did not know that. So that's a guy that's in that category too. He said he's the closest thing to Ray Lewis you'll ever find. Big words. That's a teammate. That's not just, me and Jack, rest of the media that I was getting on earlier. All right, college football, I digress. Michigan football. Jack, what's the Harbaugh absence tell you? What do you think?
That this team, I mean, I don't know a team in college football who loves their head coach more. I mean, you're talking about like JJ McCarthy's wearing like a free Harbaugh shirt on the sideline. Like, these guys are bought in on it. I mean, the culture he has built. I mean, and there's always been the rumors. I mean, it's really been very great the last 2 years. But before, when he was kind of in that James Franklin, he can't get the win, he can't get the big games, there's always a question. But I mean, that job is his for life at this point if he wants it.
Yeah, pretty amazing. What does Harbaugh's absence tell me? It tells me that once your culture from top to bottom, coaches, administrators, buy-in from the university, players, you have your transfer portal in line, you have the certain kind of player that you expect at Michigan. Once that's in line, the place runs on autopilot. Maybe 1 or 2 losses per year. Alabama, Georgia is going to fall into that category. Maybe for years. You could take the head coach away. But once the head coach implements the right coaches, they have the backing of the school, even there's a little turmoil here and there, it doesn't matter. That's what it told me. Like, holy cow. Like, they're better than we think. Super impressive. They can beat you in multiple ways, like we've talked about in the show before. I was blown away. And just the pageantry around Michigan, Ohio State. I knew it was big. Didn't realize it was that big. But really cool environment. Did not like the noon kickoff. I know it's tradition. Kick it out. Get out. Oregon's out of the Pac-12. USC's out of the Pac-12. They're in the Big Ten now. Tradition is dead in college football. Just blow that up. 12 o'clock game. Make that a later game, afternoon, night, so the West Coast can enjoy it. We can actually get some stuff done in the morning before we have to watch it. So that was my takeaway from Michigan football. All right, I digress to Nebraska football. Obviously, Coach Rule and I have a great relationship. I know a ton of guys on that staff in Nebraska, and they fell short of a bowl game this year in a crazy game on Black Friday against Iowa. Turnovers, chaos, blocked kicks, and then walk-off field goal there. Just crazy before they got to overtime. It really reminded me of a year at Temple. And, I've talked to people about this on the Nebraska staff. That first year when I transferred in there, I got so lucky to transfer there, by the way. I had no idea what I was getting myself into. They were my only Division I offer when I got kind of relieved to Florida because of medical disqualification. We were 6-6. We beat ranked ECU, and we didn't get a bowl game. Still, even though we won 6 games, we beat Tulane like the last game of the season by 1 score. But it set the foundation for the offseason and set the foundation for the future of Temple football. We won 20 games the next 2 years, and we should have probably won a lot more. Coach Rule leaving kind of mailed it in at that bowl game. Our first bowl game, we got smoked by Toledo. Like, we weren't ready yet mentally. But I think my point to all this is Nebraska football will be back if they're not back already. I firmly believe it. Not because I know Coach, I'm friends with him, and the rest of the staff at Nebraska. No. It's because I've seen the proof is in the pudding with that staff and their kind of brand and how they do it and the steps it takes to win. I firmly believe if he was given the full time in Carolina, we would have turned things around. I know for a fact at Temple it worked. I know for a fact at Baylor, which was in way worse shape at Temple, you could argue. And then now Nebraska will work. Wholeheartedly believe that it will work there. So watch out for Nebraska football next year. I saw their first 6 games of the year too. They're going to be off to a flaming hot start before the bye week. So we'll see what happens. The Big Ten's getting better. That is scary, but I'm a Nebraska football fan through and through. Jack, we got some good stuff out of Alabama this weekend. Hit it.
31-yard line. Here's the snap. Milrose stands in. Lets everybody get downfield. Still standing. He throws into the end zone.
He caught it.
It's caught. It's caught by Isaiah Bond. as he gets to the corner ahead of DJ James.
Amazing stuff there at Alabama football. Listen, I want Alabama football to win. I'll be honest. I love dynasties. I never get sick of teams winning. Some people are like, I want a different team in the Final Four this year. Why? Like, I mean, I get it. It's fun. But like the Blue Bloods, where there's history and tradition and drama and a villain and somebody who's Superman and like all these different things that you could create around the Blue Bloods, I get it. I do love the underdog, of course. I do love new teams in it, of course. But I just love dynasties. I have so much respect for them. It's so hard to win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row, let alone win multiple national titles in a row. What Nick Saban's done at Alabama, obviously, is unbelievable. He's the best college football coach of all time, or top 5, or whatever you want to call him. So I love that Alabama won. I love that we're getting a great game this weekend versus Georgia. Can't wait for it. And they control their own destiny. The quarterback from Alabama is super impressive. I mean, super impressive. That guy is trending in the right direction from the beginning of the season, where you didn't really know who he was, to this ridiculous throw to the back corner of the end zone. Auburn, what defense are you playing? Play some zones so your guys can go react on the football. Unbelievable call there by the Bama staff. I wanted you kind of to see the chaos, if you're watching on YouTube or watching our clips, of just what happens in the booth. I've called those games, and it is so fun in the booth when your team makes a play on radio, because you can act a fool. You guys aren't watching us, but your voice, your words are being shown. So Bama, fun stuff there. Lastly, on the college football front, Jack, Elko to Texas A&M. I love the hire. Absolutely love the hire. Duke lost a really good football coach in Coach Elko. And there's some great staff members that if they go with them, and one of them is Dave Feely, a gentleman who's a strength coach at Duke, who I've had the pleasure to work with, who was at Temple and become great friends with. I think he's one of the best strength coaches in the country. Fantastic human being, coach, leader, mentor, unbelievable coach. Texas A&M just got better. I hope they retain Elijah Robinson, who's a Temple guy, Penn State guy, who's been down there coaching D-line and assistant to head coach for quite some time. He was the interim head coach at A&M. So a lot of stuff going on there college football-wise, but watch out for A&M. I love the move of Elko. He was at A&M before, knows defense really well. Match it with the strength coach. You get the right coordinator in there. They have plenty of talent to pick from now. Not where Duke, where you got to get kids into school and all that stuff that makes it really hard to jump through those hoops. You won't have them in the SEC, and you won't have them at A&M. Jack, have you watched any college football this year?
I've watched some. The thing that really, I mean, I love the coaching carousel. I get really,
you're like a trade deadline in the NBA guy. That's what you get excited about.
Like, I love the whole thing when it was like Stoops to Texas A&M. It looks like it's going to happen. And then all the fans, I have no opinion of Stoops. Like I said, I really don't pay attention much, so I really can't form my own opinion. But everybody kind of seemed to revolt at the idea of bringing in Stoops. And I don't know what happened, but then suddenly 6 hours later, it's like Stoops is not coming to Texas A&M. Deal's not happening. And then it's like 6 hours after that, Elko, he's our guy. He always was. And then they bring him in. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if boosters got upset about it or if it was never actually happening to begin with and somebody they were just interviewing. But I just love the whole craziness of, and it's because some of them happen like flat out of the blue, like Lincoln Riley to USC, like out of nowhere. Like
that's going to happen this year. There's going to be some drama this year. Obviously, there's going to be more though. Not this little stuff.
The one thing. I mean, I'll say this. This was the rant I did have about college football. If I was Ryan Day and Texas A, it very much frustrates me that Ohio State fans don't know how good they've got it. Ohio State fans might be the most entitled fans of college football right now. Your head coach is 57-6. They against teams not named Michigan in the Big Ten. Do you know their record? Did you see the stat? Teams not named Michigan in the Big Ten, 40-0. 40-0. And you think that firing right? Like, who's gonna come in to save the day? That's gonna get you to 63-0, never lose a game. Like, I mean, like if I was Ryan Day, and I'm seeing all of these fans saying this about me after how perfect of a job you could really be as a coach, unless your name's Nick Saban or like I don't even know.
I wouldn't go to the SEC. I'd say in the Big Ten because I think the Big Ten, there's those two at the top, and then kind of everybody else. Even with the additions, now Oregon will give them a run for their money. But I digress, Jack. I think you bring up some great points. Ryan Day recruited me to BC. He brings back some good memories. I almost went to BC because of him, and a lot of us from Philly area almost did. He's a great coach and recruiter. I had a conversation with Mike Schofield, NFL offensive lineman, a couple of years ago. Sko played in Michigan. His wife was a top U.S. women's hockey player for USA, and great people. And Mike's like, get him out, Harbaugh. I can't. I don't know what to do. And sorry, Mike, if you want to release that, but you're like, we keep losing. I don't get it. I'm like, well, who are you going to hire? This guy's the perfect guy for the job. Not that I knew that they were going to be on this type of run, but like, hey, give them time. And they've got in and they've implemented in this like soft college football world of like spread it out and read it and all these signals. They're like, nope, we're just going to run a pro offense and like run it right down your throat. You can't do anything about it. And then we're going to recruit really big dudes on defense that can run. Great. There's your team. So pretty impressive out of Michigan, Jack. Really good stuff out of Michigan. All right. Business of Sports Insider Note of the Week brought to you by Wealth Advisory Services. If you don't know them, you should. WealthAdvisoryServices.com. Really good stuff here, Jack. Front Office Sports. By joining Conference USA, the Delaware Blue Hens are set to become the first FCS school to pay the new FBS application fee. Old fee, $5,000. That was a joke. New fee, $5 million. So I think it's big news. This is really big news for the Northeast college football landscape. The Blue Hens are heading to Division I football. That's a big deal. Listen, there's not a ton of teams in the Northeast that are really good at college football. There's not. And I'm not saying Delaware is going to pop up and beat all these teams, but my Temple Owls, I'd be shaking in your boots. We got to get it together. We got to win because you're going to start losing recruits to Delaware now. You would be losing some losing recruits to Delaware now that are D1AA caliber players that you're recruiting at Temple because of what Delaware has, the stadium, it's a state school, the whole different thing. BC, Rutgers, obviously Penn State, but it's like BC, Rutgers, Temple, Penn State, Pitt, Maryland. That's it. Syracuse, like the true Northeast, right? Like the big time D1 schools. We'll see. Like, are they going to be out recruiting like Fordham and Wagner? Yes. So Albany, yes. They're D1AA now. They're in their former conference. So interesting stuff. I think this is a bigger deal than people think in the Northeast college football wise, how it's going to change recruiting now. Delaware could turn it around quick with some NIL money. They can pay that $5 million pretty quickly. So we'll see what happens on the Business Sports Insider Note of the Week brought to you by Wealth Advisory Services. The Media Graveyard. I bring it up every week as we wrap things up here. The Media Graveyard. People are getting buried around the league. Talk about the Niners got buried. The Bills got buried. Kansas City got buried last week. You name it, right? Eagles got buried and all said that Jets, that's over. Eagles still get buried and they win. I got people coming to me at the gym complaining about the game that they had last night still. Like, everybody complains. My uncle in Key West is complaining. I love you, Kibby. Oh, they make it close on purpose. I got this guy telling me all these yards of offense. What a shame if we lost. Well, you didn't lose. So it's enough for the graveyard. Enough for the graveyard. I would say this. Who's next in the graveyard? It's the Bills again. They're going to bury the Bills. You watch. They buried the Vikings. Look what the Vikings have done. Bury the Bills. Good luck. Because I'm telling you, that's my team who's going to make the run down the home stretch. You got to go play in Buffalo. That team's built for it. Not every quarterback's built for it. They're heading to Kansas City. They've won in Kansas City before or played them close. So that is a different team, and I'm excited to see what happens and who's going to come out of the media graveyard. The shovel, if you will, Jack.
I was going to say, did we ditch the shovel award name already? I got a nice golden shovel ready for all of our social media graphics. And
it's the graveyard, pal.
The other thing that frustrates me, I mean, it's also really not a knock on this team. I've seen so many comparisons. Everybody's like, oh, this is this year's 2020 Steelers or whatever year they went like 11-0 start season. Now, that team was not bad, but this Eagles team is miles better than that team. If anything, people should be impressed how they're always finding a way to win. It's not like they rattle to a 20.
Can't have nice toys in Philadelphia, Jack. You can't have nice toys. They can't enjoy. it. Bryce Harper choked. Can't enjoy it. Couldn't enjoy Claude Giroux. Couldn't enjoy him. Couldn't enjoy any of the Eagles players. It's like, can we just? What do you think Kansas City's saying about Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid? Think they're all?
They are the greatest gift ever given to the Midwest. I mean.
Yeah, but think about this Eagles team. They're like the best team in the history of the freaking.
Oh, I'm just. There's nothing. I am fully in agreement with how great this Eagles team. I'm just saying there's a lot different perspective on how the Midwest is and Kansas City, Missouri is viewing the Chiefs team than Philadelphia views the Eagles. I mean, it should be talked about the resilience of this team when they're down 2 scores at halftime against a good team. They're able to rally back. You're able to fight within the closing seconds. You're able to get a stop in overtime. I mean, none of that's it's just being talked about. Why is Brian Johnson running too many quarterback draws? Like, it frustrates. Like, every week it's something new about Brian Johnson. Oh, Brian Johnson's doing this. Why is Brian Johnson throwing this? Why is he doing that? Why is he running it? Why is he throwing it? Why is Jalen Hurts running too much? Why isn't Jalen Hurts running enough?
Jake Elliott, as we wrap things up, hit a walk-off. And this kid has got, what's the size of beach balls. I mean, this guy, I saw him make a kick in Memphis at Temple, at the Link, 2014 when he was a kicker at Memphis. And he had a walk-off against, I'm like, man, that kid was good. Well, ended up bouncing around the league, end up in Philly, and he'd probably go down as the best kicker of all time in Philly's history, him and David Akers. So, Jack, we'll hit it to Merrill Reese as we wrap things up here on the Colin Thompson Show. Thanks to all our sponsors. Appreciate everyone who supported us. Let's let Merrill Reese take it away. An unbelievable kick to tie it to send the Eagles into OT. Have a great day, everybody.
He swings the leg with the same speed, whether it's an extra point or a 60-yarder. Let's see what he does here. Hold your breath. Ball is spotted. The kick is away. And the kick is... It's goalable time! He is amazing.
Oh,
he is amazing.
They just do not want to go away. Jake Elliott. Oh, my goodness. Should anyone be surprised?
No. There are maybe one other kicker in his class, and of course, that is the great kicker of the Baltimore Ravens, who has been great, Justin Tucker. But I want to tell you something. Jake Elliott's right up there with the best. He's right up there. His nerves are unbelievable.
When he hit it, he knew it was good. The hitter always knows. And the hitter right here, he knew when he hit it that he had enough on it.